The massive alien ship moved through space like a dark shadow against the stars. Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the third planet of this new solar system spin slowly below them. The blue and green world looked peaceful from space, but his sensors told him everything he needed to know. "Another easy target," he said to his officer standing beside him. The Admiral's blue skin gleamed under the bridge lights as he smiled. "These humans have barely learned to travel between stars. This will be simple work." Kethvar had done this many times before. His empire had taken over 12 different star systems in the past 300 years. The method was always the same. Show up with big ships, scare the locals with superior weapons, demand they surrender. Most species gave up without much of a fight. The Zephyrian Empire was very good at conquering other worlds. They had the best technology, the biggest ships, and the most powerful weapons in this part of the galaxy. No one had ever successfully fought back against them, but they had never met humans before. On the colony world called New Haven, Commander Jake Mitchell was having a normal day until the alarm started screaming. He ran to the command center where his officers were staring at their screens with wide eyes. "What's happening?" Jake asked. Lieutenant Amy Carter turned to face him. Her face was pale. "Sir, we have 3 massive ships at the edge of our system. They're bigger than anything we've ever built, and they're sending us a message." Jake looked at the main screen. The alien ships looked like floating cities made of dark metal. Weapons stuck out from their hulls like deadly spines. Each ship was 10 times larger than the biggest human battleship. "Play the message," Jake ordered. A cold voice filled the command center. The words came through their computers, already translated into English. "People of this world, you will surrender to the Zephyrian Empire. You have 72 hours to give up all weapons and prepare for occupation. If you refuse, we will destroy your cities and take the survivors as slaves. This is your only warning." The message ended. The command center fell silent except for the quiet hum of computers. Jake looked around at his team. Amy was checking weapon systems. His tactical officer, Captain Bob Davis, was running scans on the alien ships. Everyone was scared, but they were still doing their jobs. "Sir, what are your orders?" Amy asked. Jake thought for a moment. "The smart thing would be to surrender. The alien ships could probably destroy their entire colony without breaking a sweat." But something inside him refused to give up without a fight. "Get me a direct line to Earth Command," Jake said, "and start scanning those ships. I want to know everything about them. How they work, what weapons they have, everything. Sir, with respect, what can Earth do? Those ships are here now," Bob said. Jake looked at the alien vessels on his screen. "Maybe nothing, but humans don't surrender without a fight. We never have, and we're not going to start now." What Admiral Kethvar didn't know was that humans were different from every other species his empire had conquered. Most aliens, when faced with superior technology, would logically conclude that resistance was pointless. They would surrender to save lives and preserve their civilization. Humans thought differently. Every war in human history had taught them that the bigger, stronger enemy could still be beaten if you were smart enough, tough enough, and willing to sacrifice everything for victory. While the Zephyrian ultimatum spread across human space, something amazing happened. Instead of panic, humans began to prepare for war. Every military base went to full alert. Scientists started studying the alien ships from long distance. Engineers began working on new weapons and defenses. On Earth, General Patricia Ross called an emergency meeting. She sat at a table surrounded by the best military minds humanity had to offer. Everyone was looking at pictures and data from the alien ships. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a situation," General Ross began. 3 alien ships have appeared at New Haven and demanded our surrender. Intelligence suggests there may be more ships coming. Colonel Frank Stone, the head of space operations, raised his hand. "General, those ships outgun our entire fleet. What can we possibly do against technology that advanced?" General Ross smiled grimly. "The same thing humans have always done when faced with a superior enemy. We adapt, we learn, We find their weaknesses and exploit them." She stood up and walked to a large screen showing the alien ships. "These aliens think they know us. They think we're just another primitive species that will roll over when threatened. They're about to learn their first lesson about humanity." "What lesson is that, General?" asked Dr. Helen Brooks, the chief of weapons research. "That humans don't stay primitive for long, and we definitely don't stay conquered." Meanwhile, aboard his flagship, Admiral Keithvar was receiving reports from his scouts. The humans were not behaving as expected. Instead of immediate surrender negotiations, they were mobilizing their military forces. Their primitive ships were moving into defensive positions. "Sir, the humans appear to be preparing for battle," his tactical officer reported. "Should we begin the bombardment early?" Keithvar waved his hand dismissively. "Let them play soldier. It will make no difference. When the 72 hours are up, we will destroy their orbital defenses in minutes. Then they will understand the futility of resistance." What the Admiral didn't realize was that those 72 hours would be the most productive 3 days in human military history. Every hour that passed, human engineers learned something new about alien technology. Every minute brought new defensive plans and attack strategies. On New Haven, Jake and his team worked without sleep. They recorded every energy signature from the alien ships. They analyzed the composition of their hulls. They studied the patterns of their patrol routes. "Sir, I think I've found something," Amy said, her voice excited despite her exhaustion. "Their weapons seem to have a charging cycle. After they fire, there's a 3-second gap before they can fire again." Jake looked at the data. 3 seconds. In 3 seconds, our fighters can change course, drop altitude, maybe even get behind cover. "It's not much of an advantage," Bob pointed out. "No," Jake agreed, "but it's something. And right now, something is better than nothing." As the deadline approached, both sides prepared for battle. The Zephyrians checked their weapons and rehearsed their standard conquest procedures. They had done this so many times that it had become routine. The humans prepared differently. They studied, they planned, they improvised. Most importantly, they refused to accept that defeat was inevitable. Admiral Keithvar looked at his chronometer. 1 hour remained until the ultimatum expired. Soon he would add another world to the Empire. It would be just like all the others. But Commander Jake Mitchell and the defenders of New Haven had other ideas. They had spent 72 hours learning everything they could about their enemy. Now it was time to show the galaxy what humans could do when their backs were against the wall. The first war between humans and the Zephyrian Empire was about to begin, and the aliens were about to learn their first hard lesson about fighting humanity. Neither side knew it yet, but this battle would change the course of galactic history forever. The 72 hours were up. Admiral Keithvar looked at his watch and nodded to his weapons officer. The humans had chosen to fight instead of surrender. It was time to show them the power of the Zephyrian Empire. "Begin the attack," Keithvar ordered. "Destroy their orbital stations first, then hit their military bases. Remember, we want workers alive, not dead bodies." The 3 alien ships moved into position above New Haven. Their massive plasma cannons began to charge with a deep humming sound that could be heard even in space. These weapons could turn a city block into hot gas in seconds. The first blast hit New Haven's orbital defense platform. The structure that had taken humans 10 years to build vanished in a bright flash of light. Pieces of metal and machinery scattered into space like deadly rain. On the planet's surface, Commander Jake Mitchell watched from his underground command center. The main screen showed the destruction happening above them. His hands clenched into fists, but his voice stayed calm. "All units, this is command. The orbital platforms are gone. Switch to ground-based defense. Execute Plan Delta." Lieutenant Amy Carter worked at her station, coordinating communications across the planet. "Sir, all ground missile systems are online. Atmospheric fighters are launching from hidden bases. The Zephyrian ships turned their attention to the surface. Plasma beams lanced down from space, hitting military installations with devastating accuracy. The human bases erupted in massive explosions, sending columns of fire and smoke into the sky. But something strange was happening. Instead of running away or surrendering, human forces were fighting back. Their missiles couldn't hurt the alien ships, but they kept firing anyway. Admiral Kethvar frowned as he watched his tactical display. Why do they keep shooting? Their weapons cannot penetrate our shields. His tactical officer, Sub-Commander Drexval, checked his readings. Sir, our sensors show increased military activity across the entire planet. They appear to be learning from each exchange. Learning. What could they possibly learn from being destroyed? But the humans were learning. Every time they fired a missile at the alien ships, their computers recorded detailed information about Zephyrian shields and weapons. Every explosion taught them something new about alien technology. In his bunker, Jake studied the incoming data with his science officer, Dr. Lisa Clark. What have we learned so far? Lisa pulled up charts and graphs on her screen. Their shields work on a rotating frequency, sir. They change the frequency every few seconds to prevent exactly what we're trying to do. But there's a pattern. What kind of pattern? The frequency rotation follows a mathematical sequence. If we can predict the next frequency, we might be able to time our attacks to hit during the brief moment when the shields reset. Jake smiled for the first time since the battle began. How long do we have during the reset? Less than half a second, sir, but it's something. Meanwhile, the Zephyrian attack continued. Plasma beams destroyed human military bases one by one, but each time they hit a target, human fighters would swoop in during the 3-second recharge time. Firing their primitive weapons and gathering more data, Captain Bob Davis led a squadron of atmospheric fighters in a desperate attack run. His small craft dove through the alien plasma fire, using the brief gaps between shots to survive. "Listen up, people," Bob said over the radio. "We can't hurt these guys, but we can learn from them. Every pass we make, every shot we take gives our scientists more information. Stay alive and keep them busy." The human fighters danced around the massive alien ships like angry hornets. Their weapons did no damage, but they forced the Zephyrians to keep firing, which meant more data for human computers to analyze. Admiral Kethvar was getting frustrated. The humans should have surrendered by now. Every other species in the galaxy understood when they were beaten, but these creatures kept fighting even when it was hopeless. "Sir, we're detecting unusual activity in their industrial sectors," reported his intelligence officer. "They appear to be converting civilian facilities for military use." Kethvar looked at the new data. The humans were doing something he had never seen before. They were turning their factories, mining equipment, and even construction tools into weapons. On New Haven, every facility that could be converted was being turned into a weapons factory or launch platform. The asteroid mining stations in orbit were being modified to shoot chunks of metal at the alien ships. The orbital construction yards were building missile launchers instead of civilian structures. Dr. Helen Brooks, working with a team of engineers, had figured out how to turn industrial equipment into improvised weapons. "If we can't build proper military hardware fast enough, we'll use what we have. These mining lasers aren't designed for combat, but they can still cause damage." The humans began launching their improvised attacks. Industrial lasers, normally used for cutting metal, were aimed at the alien ships. Mining charges, designed to break up asteroids, were fired like missiles. Even construction robots were being converted into bomb-carrying drones. None of these weapons could penetrate Zephyrian shields, but they created something the aliens had never faced before: a swarm of attacks coming from every direction. The alien ships had to constantly adjust their position and shield frequency to deal with the chaos. "This is impossible," Admiral Kethvar said, staring at his display. "No species has ever adapted this quickly to our technology." Sub-Commander Drexval looked worried. "Sir, our shield generators are starting to overheat. The constant bombardment is forcing them to work harder than designed. From primitive weapons that cannot even penetrate our defenses?" "Yes, sir. The sheer volume of attacks is causing system strain." What the Zephyrians didn't understand was that humans had spent their entire history learning to fight enemies with better technology. From ancient armies using guerrilla tactics against superior forces to modern militaries adapting to new threats, humanity had always found ways to turn disadvantages into advantages. The battle continued for hours. Human forces kept attacking, kept learning, kept adapting. Every failure taught them something new. Every defeat showed them a weakness in alien technology. Commander Jake Mitchell coordinated the defense from multiple command centers, switching locations every few hours to avoid alien targeting. His forces were scattered across the planet and in orbit, but they all worked together with a coordination that amazed even themselves. "Status report," Jake called to his staff. Amy looked up from her communications console. "Sir, we've lost 60% of our military installations, but civilian conversions are replacing them faster than expected. Industrial output is actually increasing." "And our data collection?" Dr. Lisa Clark smiled. "We now have complete scans of their shield systems, weapon frequencies, and ship design. Our computers are finding patterns in everything they do." Jake nodded. The battle was far from over, but humanity was doing what it did best: learning, adapting, and refusing to give up. Admiral Kethvar realized he was facing something completely new in his 3 centuries of military service. These humans were not just fighting back, they were getting better at fighting with every passing hour. The Zephyrian Empire's first war with humans was not going according to plan. 3 weeks had passed since the first alien attack on New Haven. What should have been a simple conquest had turned into something Admiral Kethvar had never experienced before. The humans were not only still fighting, they were getting better, at it every day. The Admiral stood in his command room reading reports that made no sense to him. Human forces had somehow captured one of his patrol ships. They had taken apart Zephyrian technology and were now using it against him. This was supposed to be impossible. "Sir, the humans have done something to our plasma generators," reported his chief scientist, Subcommander Thexney. "They have made them 17% more powerful than our original designs." Kethvar stared at the data. "How can a primitive species improve technology we have been perfecting for centuries?" The answer was simple, though the Admiral didn't understand it yet. Humans approached technology completely differently than other species. Where aliens refined and perfected existing designs over many generations, humans were willing to take dangerous risks and try crazy combinations that more careful civilizations would never attempt. On Earth, Dr. Kevin Walsh led a team of scientists who worked day and night to understand captured alien technology. Unlike other species that studied things slowly and carefully, humans were willing to push systems beyond their safe limits to see what would happen. "The key is their power distribution system," Dr. Walsh explained to General Ross during a video conference. "They built everything to be stable and reliable, but if we're willing to accept some failures, we can make these systems much more powerful." "What kind of failures are we talking about?" General Ross asked. "Well, about 1 in every 10 modified weapons will explode when fired, but the 9 that work will be twice as powerful as the original alien versions." General Ross nodded. "That's a risk we can live with. How quickly can you produce these modified weapons?" "We already have the first batch ready for testing. The results were impressive. Human fighters equipped with modified alien engines could fly circles around Zephyrian ships. Human plasma weapons, though less reliable, could punch through alien shields with the right timing. Most importantly, human ships were being built that combined the best of both technologies. The USS Defiance was humanity's first hybrid warship. Built in the orbital yards above Mars, it used human engineering combined with captured alien technology. The ship looked like nothing else in space, with smooth human curves mixed with angular alien weapon systems. Captain Pete Johnson took command of the Defiance for its first battle test. His crew was nervous but excited. They were about to find out if human engineering could beat alien technology in a fair fight. "All stations report ready, sir," reported his first officer, Lieutenant Nancy Price. "Good. Remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves today. We're proving that humans can stand up to anyone in the galaxy." The test came when a Zephyrian patrol squadron detected the Defiance near the Jupiter system. 3 alien ships moved to intercept, confident that they could easily destroy one human vessel. They were in for a surprise. The battle began when the lead Zephyrian ship fired its plasma cannons at the Defiance. Captain Johnson had studied every battle report from New Haven. He knew exactly how long it took alien weapons to recharge. "Evasive maneuvers," Johnson ordered. "Wait for the gap, then return fire." The Defiance twisted away from the plasma blast, its modified engines giving it speed and agility that surprised the alien pilots. When the 3-second gap came, Johnson struck back. "Fire all weapons." The Defiance's modified plasma cannons, pushed beyond safe operating limits by human engineering, delivered focused bursts of energy that overloaded the Zephyrian shields. The lead alien ship staggered as its defensive systems failed. "Their shields are down. All fighters attack now." Human fighter craft that had been hiding in Jupiter's radiation belt swarmed out to attack the disabled alien ship. Using modified alien engines, they achieved acceleration rates that should have been impossible for such small craft. The Zephyrian patrol tried to retreat, but they found their escape routes blocked. Human ships were everywhere, moving faster than alien sensors could track. For the first time in 3 centuries, a Zephyrian fleet was forced to surrender to a supposedly primitive species. The news of the victory spread across human space like wildfire. If one human ship could defeat 3 alien vessels, then maybe humanity had a real chance in this war. Admiral Kethavar received the surrender report with growing alarm. The humans were not just adapting to his technology, they were improving it and using it against him. This was beyond anything he had experienced in his long military career. "Sir, the Imperial Council is demanding answers," his communications officer reported. "They want to know why we haven't conquered these humans yet." Kethavar considered his response carefully. How could he explain that humanity was unlike any species the Empire had ever encountered? They were like a young civilization with old souls, combining fresh thinking with hard-earned wisdom from countless wars. "Tell the Council that we need reinforcements," he said finally. "These humans are unusual." What Admiral Kethavar didn't know was that his request for help would lead to the Empire's biggest mistake yet. Meanwhile, human industrial capacity was reaching full war production. Earth's factories worked around the clock, producing ships that mixed human and alien technology. The asteroid belt became a massive shipyard where new vessels were launched every day. Dr. Helen Brooks had figured out how to mass-produce the modified alien weapons. "We can't match their quality control," she told her engineering team, "but we can build 10 weapons for every one they make. Even if half of ours break down, we'll still outnumber them." The human approach to manufacturing was completely different. From alien methods, where other species built a few perfect items, humans built many good enough items and improved them through constant testing and modification. Commander Jake Mitchell, now promoted to colonel, led the defense of 3 more colony worlds. Each battle taught humanity new lessons about fighting the Zephyrians. Each victory proved that alien technology could be beaten. The key is not to fight them the way they expect, Jake explained to his officers during a strategy meeting. They've conquered 12 different species using the same tactics. Every other civilization tried to match their technology directly. We're going to be smarter than that. "What do you mean, sir?" asked Major Amy Carter, who had been promoted after her. "Excellent work on New Haven. We're going to use their strengths against them. Their ships are big and powerful, but that makes them slow. Their weapons are precise, but they have limited firing rates. Their shields are strong, but they follow predictable patterns." Jake pointed to a display showing Zephyrian ship designs. "We're going to build small, fast ships that can exploit every weakness they have. We're going to use quantity instead of quality. And we're going to coordinate our attacks in ways they've never seen before." The plan worked. Human fleets began winning battles across multiple star systems. Each victory brought more captured alien technology and more confidence that humanity could survive this war. But the biggest test was yet to come. The Zephyrian Empire was about to make a decision that would unite all of humanity and unleash their full potential for warfare and innovation. The Imperial Council of the Zephyrian Empire had ruled over 12 star systems for over 300 years. They had never met a species they could not conquer with their advanced technology and overwhelming force. The human resistance was not just unexpected, it was impossible to understand. Emperor Zethkul, the ancient ruler of the empire, listened to Admiral Kethavar's request for reinforcements with growing anger. A simple conquest that should have taken a few days had stretched into months with no end in sight. "You ask for more ships to defeat a primitive species that barely knows how to travel between stars." The Emperor's voice was cold with centuries of absolute power. "Perhaps the problem is not their strength, but your weakness." Admiral Kethvar kept his face calm despite the insult. "Your Majesty, these humans are different from any species we have fought before. They learn from our attacks and somehow make our own technology work better than we can." "Impossible," declared Councillor Vextra, the Empire's top military leader. "No species can improve Zephyrian technology. You are making excuses for your failures. Emperor Zethkul made a decision that would destroy his empire. If these humans are as dangerous as you claim, then we must show them the full power of the Zephyrian Empire. I am sending the Worldbreaker fleet to destroy their home planet. We will turn their world into burning rock and scatter the survivors across space as slaves." The Worldbreaker fleet was the Empire's most powerful force. 50 massive warships, including the super dreadnought Infinite Dominion, formed a fleet that could destroy entire solar systems. It had never been defeated in battle. Admiral Kethvar felt cold fear as he received his new orders. Attacking Earth directly would unite all humans in a way that separate colonial battles never could. But the Emperor had spoken, and questioning him meant death. On Earth, the news of the approaching Worldbreaker fleet triggered the largest military preparation in human history. Every nation, every company, every person with useful skills was brought into the war effort. The entire planet became one giant military machine. General Patricia Ross stood before the leaders of humanity, her voice carrying across communication, networks that reached every human settlement from Earth to the farthest colonies. "They want to destroy our world," she said simply. "They want to end humanity before we've even begun to show the galaxy what we can do. We're going to prove to them why that was the biggest mistake they could make." What happened next showed the galaxy something it had never seen before. Factories that made civilian goods were converted to produce weapons in a matter of days. Civilian spaceships were armed and pressed into military service. Most importantly, human creativity and problem-solving ability was unleashed on a scale never before imagined. Dr. Rachel Kim, working with a team of the world's best engineers and scientists, developed the breakthrough that would change everything. By combining human-computer technology with alien energy systems, they created something that had never existed before, a weapon that could disrupt the quantum fields that powered all Zephyrian technology. The beauty of their technology is also its greatest weakness, Dr. Kim explained to the military commanders. All their systems are connected together so perfectly that if we disrupt one part, everything else fails, like falling dominoes. The quantum disruptor required enormous amounts of power and could only be fired once before it would burn out completely. But for that single moment, it could shut down an entire alien fleet. Captain Steve Harper commanded the hastily built Earth Defense Fleet as it moved out to meet the Worldbreaker fleet at the edge of the solar system. His flagship, the USS Vengeance, carried the only quantum disruptor and represented humanity's last hope for survival. "All ships, this is Harper." The captain's voice reached every human vessel in the fleet. "Remember what we're fighting for. Today, everything we've ever built, everyone we've ever loved stands behind us. If we fail here, humanity ends here." The Battle of Sol began when the Worldbreaker fleet dropped out of hyperspace to find not a helpless world, but a prepared and determined defense force. Admiral Kethvar, commanding from the bridge of the Infinite Dominion, immediately saw that this battle would be unlike any he had ever fought. The human fleet was outnumbered 5-1. Each alien ship was bigger and more powerful than anything humans had ever built. But the humans fought with a unity and desperation that pushed them beyond what should have been possible. Human ships used suicide attacks, ramming runs, and close range, battles that no reasonable military would ever approve. But more importantly, they fought with perfect coordination. Every human in the fleet knew that failure meant the end of their species. There would be no retreat, no surrender, no second chances. The battle went on for hours. Human ships fell one by one to superior alien firepower, but each loss bought time for the USS Vengeance to get into position for its single, all-important shot. Captain Harper watched his fleet dying around him and made the hardest choice of his life. All remaining ships execute final attack pattern. Clear me a path to their command ship. The surviving human vessels launched a coordinated attack against the alien formation, sacrificing themselves to create an opening in the enemy defenses. The USS Vengeance pushed forward through the gap, taking massive damage as it closed in on the Infinite Dominion. Quantum disruptor charged and ready to fire, reported Commander Nancy Price from the weapons station. Fire, Captain Harper ordered. The quantum disruptor released a pulse of energy that spread through subspace like ripples on a pond. The energy wave disrupted the quantum fields that powered all Zephyrian technology. Across the entire world breaker, fleet, ships simply stopped working. Engines died, weapons shut down, life support systems failed. Admiral Kethvar found himself aboard a massive but powerless ship, drifting helplessly as human vessels moved to surround the disabled fleet. For the first time in Zephyrian history, an entire battle group had been defeated without firing a single effective shot. Captain Harper's voice echoed across all communication frequencies. This is Captain Steve Harper of the United Earth Defense Force. You came to our system to destroy our world and enslave our people. You made one critical mistake in your planning. You thought we would fight like every other species you've conquered. You believed we would break when faced with better technology and greater numbers. What you didn't understand is that humanity has spent its entire existence preparing for exactly this moment. Every war we've fought, every battle we've won or lost, every invention we've made has been leading to this day. We are not just another primitive species for you to conquer. We are humanity and we never give up. The defeat of the Worldbreaker fleet marked the end of Zephyrian expansion and the beginning of humanity's rise as a major galactic power. The empire that had conquered 12 star systems in 3 centuries found itself unable to defeat a single world that had been traveling in space for less than 200 years. Emperor Zethkul, faced with the complete destruction of his most powerful fleet, agreed to a peace treaty that recognized human independence and established Earth as an equal power in galactic politics. The war that was supposed to end with humanity's enslavement had instead launched them toward their destiny as a spacefaring civilization. Epilogue. 50 years later, humanity had established colonies in 17 star systems and had become the dominant military power in their region of the galaxy. The Zephyrian Empire, humbled by their defeat, had transformed from conquerors into partners, learning from human innovation while sharing their own advanced technologies. The war that was supposed to result in humanity's enslavement had instead launched them into their destiny as a spacefaring civilization, and throughout human space, military academies taught the same lesson that had been learned in the Battle of Sol. Superior technology and overwhelming numbers mean nothing against a species that refuses to give up. The galaxy had learned that humanity's greatest weapon was not their ships or their weapons, but their absolute refusal to accept defeat. It was a lesson that would echo across the stars for generations to come.